Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I'm joined this afternoon by Ministry of Public Works officers Mr. Kirk Outerbridge, the Chief Engineer, and Mr. Leighton Rahman, the Principal Highways Engineer, and BELCO representatives Mr. Nadir, the Director of Grid Management Services, and Mr. Jonathan Pedro, Capital Projects Engineer, to announce the progress made over several months of collaboration between our two organizations. Let me first state that the President of BELCO, Mr. Dennis Pimentel, who has led this effort, is unable to be present today, but is ably represented by Mr. Wade. For many years, various service providers at one time or another have on their own carried out road trenching works to install or repair equipment under the public roads, oftentimes without much regard for the landowner, the Ministry of Public Works, or road users. As we drive on our daily commute, the remnants of this work in the form of uneven road surfaces, recurring potholes, and different surfacing materials is something experienced by every road user. Just over a year ago, in an effort to address this issue, the Ministry implemented a policy of enforcing the issuance of permits and requiring the proper reinstatement of roads. Concurrently, we began discussions with BELCO as the primary utility in this space to explore ways in which this process could be corrected. Once that was accomplished, other service providers were included in the discussions. That brings us to this announcement today. Effective immediately, a coordinated approach to road trenching going forward is in effect. It is timely that BELCO's need to conduct major upgrades to its network over the next 3 years provides the opportunity to coordinate their efforts to carry out island-wide trenching and ensure that all the necessary entities are prepared and ready to lay any and all underground equipment that need at the same time. Examples of this is cabling, piping, extra conduits for future use, whatever is necessary to ensure that once the trenching work is complete, the people of Bermuda will have newly paved roads across the country that will be more durable, resilient, long-lasting, and not have to be excavated in the foreseeable future. These works will also have the benefit of further stimulating our economy. Let me explain. Due to the size and scope of the BELCO project, completing the work will involve private sector contractors being brought on, which will in turn create jobs and work for other sectors. I'm sure all will agree this is good news. However, as is the nature of roadworks, at times there will be traffic disruptions. While traffic delays are always an inconvenience, it is an unavoidable but necessary part of this important work. All efforts will be made to give as much advance notice as possible and keep disruptions to a minimum. As such, on behalf of the Government of Bermuda, BELCO, and all the organizations involved in this effort, I apologize in advance for any inconvenience caused and ask for the public's patience and full cooperation as we carry out these critical infrastructure upgrades. This short-term pain will lead to long-term gain. So when the time comes and you find yourself sitting in traffic, frustrated with the delay, and wishing the traffic would just move along, I ask that you take a moment to consider the immense benefit to all you road users. Following these works, we will have a far more secure, reliable, state-of-the-art infrastructure for all. And probably most importantly, we foresee no need for future road trenching for many years to come. I believe that this sacrifice is a small price to pay as we work together toward a better Bermuda. Proper planning will afford us the opportunity for all stakeholders to benefit from this collective approach. I would like to recognize the efforts of the former Chief Engineer, Mr. Yves Borbelotti, who started this initiative, his successor, Mr. Kirk Outerbridge, who has seamlessly picked up that ball and ran with it. Mr. Dennis Pimentel and Mr. Nadir Wade of BELCO, all of whom are responsible for getting us to this point. I'm convinced that all road users will be pleased with the eventual outcome. I now ask Mr. Wade from BELCO to provide some specifics on this important project. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon, members of the media, and good afternoon, Bermuda. During the last 100 years, BELCO has installed hundreds of miles of overhead, underground, and undersea cables connecting homes and businesses across the island. As power needs and technology has progressed, this grid infrastructure has been upgraded and replaced. However, there are parts of the grid that are now 60 years old and in need of replacement. As part of BELCO's $250 million capital plan, we are making major improvements to our grid that will serve our customers into the future with more reliable, safe, and cost-effective electricity. The upgrades we are making will also ensure that we accommodate large and small-scale renewable energy to be safely fed into the grid from projects such as the solar finger installation at the airport and rooftop solar with residential units. Part of this grid upgrade, as the Minister has explained, will require trenching along Bermuda roadways, laying underground cable. This project is expected to last approximately 36 months, and the details of our trenching will be shared on the BELCO website. The project will start next month in the East End, trenching from the substation at the Al Frederick Wade International Airport to Mullet Bay in St. George's. We will work to complete the East End within the next year and a half, and then the West End the following year. We are planning to work to create minimum disruption as possible, and we are pleased with the collaborative effort as described by the Minister. I'm also pleased to reiterate what the Minister said about the cooperation with the government and other utilities to ensure that they can take advantage of the trenching and install any other infrastructure that may be required in the future. This will ensure roads that have been trenched and newly paved will not be dug up again for the foreseeable future as outlined. Through financing, cost savings, and other measures, we are working hard to ensure we improve our service to our customers without passing on those costs. On behalf of our entire BELCO team, I would like to ask for the public's understanding and patience as we complete this critical infrastructure upgrade that will ensure more safe, secure, and reliable electricity for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now take questions. Good afternoon. Minister, perhaps if I could start with you. You mentioned job creation, I guess. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
That would be for BELCO, really, but I can. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's very much in their driveway.
Yeah, I have no problem speaking to that. So just to be clear, I mentioned a $250 million capital plan.
Yep.
While the trenching constitutes a $47 million capital project, and as that relates to trenching, we know that has to do with construction, excavation, material requirements, all those things that will facilitate a comprehensive trenching and cabling project. So we expect that contractors will be engaged as a result of this work, and that will therefore benefit Bermuda.
So jobs for Bermudians, will other people be required to come in for any of this work?
Essentially, we'll be looking to hire local contractors
Okay.
and local
Just so I can
local
get a little
workers.
clarity too. So the work that's set to begin next month in the East End, is that trenching specific work, is that correct?
Yes, so
Okay.
the main phase of the trenching project is really to underground cables, but it starts with the trenching. So the trenching is the main works that will be undertaken in the East End, and will start along Kinleyfield Road, mainly in the grass verge, so to at least to reduce disruption to the public as we begin to kind of ramp up this project. As I mentioned, it's a 3-year project, so this is the beginning of it.
Yeah, right, 36-month project. And is the 47 million, does that relate to the 3-year project then?
That is the total project for the east end and the west end, basically undergrounding cables, transmission cables, I want to be specific, transmission cables across the island from the east end to the west end.
Right, but sorry, the 47 million relates to that 3-year?
It relates to the total
Yeah.
3-year project, yes.
Okay. What kind of impact, you touched on a little bit as well as the minister, traffic disruptions and the like, what kind of, I guess, impact or is the average Bermudian going to see in their day-to-day lives with this work that's going on?
Yeah, so the way this project is designed to be flexible. Persons can expect levels of disruption on the main roads as it relates to the trenching. So we're talking about our transmission network, which largely is along the main roads. For the first year and a half, along the east end of the island, we encourage people to take that into consideration as it relates to the ongoing works that will continue to progress along the highways and byways. But we will put in specific details as it relates to our trenching plans on our website for the public to be able to see that information and to be able to organize their commute.
If you could just speak broadly to all this stuff, these infrastructure upgrades that I guess are going to be made, if I understand correctly, some of the grid is 60 years old, did you say that?
So some of our underground cables are 60 years old and are due for replacement, and that's given us the impetus to, beyond that, to undertake this project, but to also meet the future needs of renewable penetration into the grid, which is due to the new technology. We talk about renewables coming onto the grid, so we want to be able to facilitate that. So it's good timing for us to upgrade this infrastructure to be able to facilitate Bermuda's future energy needs.
How essential are these upgrades?
These are 60-year-old cables on our transmission network. Our transmission network is the backbone and fiber of our network. So these are very necessary upgrades, and that's why we're excited to get them started.
Any other questions?
Great, thank you very much.